Hey all, it's Denise and I'm in my studio today and I am getting ready to frame the pieces that I did, including my paintings, my jelly paintings from a couple videos ago that I didn't think were going to turn out to be anything, but they did turn out to be something. And then I've added some of my clay pieces to it. And I think I may have talked about this in last week's video on how I was going to frame these pieces. And then I didn't show you last week. So I'm adding it into this week's video, or it is what this week's video is all about. And I'm getting ready to frame these for a show that I'm doing. 2 artists, 2 mediums. There's 2 of us, and we each are doing paintings and ceramics, both separately, and for me, I'm adding some of my ceramic pieces to my paintings. So, that being said, I share that. I'll share any of the things that I use, like the plywood backing that I got, or the shadow box frames that I picked up at Michael's. I'll link those down below. And this is a short video, not too long, but you want to hang around to the end and see these cool pieces that I made with jelly plate that I didn't think was going to go anywhere, and with scraps of my ceramics. They were either broken pieces or pieces that I intentionally made small pieces to add onto my artwork. So I hope you like it, hope you enjoy it, and head on over and take a look. Okay, now I'm going to show you some of how I'm finishing off the art pieces that are the more painting part of the clay and painting 2 mediums, 2 artists show. So you might remember in my last video, a video or 2 ago, I pulled out my jelly plate and just did some wild and crazy jelly plates just to play and loosen up. And I was also using both sides of my jelly plate. Well, those were just kind of fun little practice pieces. You know, what are you going to do with them? Well, I did actually go and finish them off. And I'm sorry I didn't make a video for this, but I kind of got into it in the studio and I lost track of time and I didn't turn my camera on. But what I did with those jelly plates, because they had a lot of white marks showing through, they had a lot of imperfections, I went over them with either a black or a raw umber, very transparent mix, and just rubbed it in and wiped it off to fill in and even out any of the little white marks that were left. So all of those pieces, and I would show you all of them, but you can see them in that video, towards the end of that video. I have them stacked up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in the ceramics with these art pieces with either pieces of clay that didn't work out, they broke off, but they were kind of too fun to get rid of, or I specifically went into the clay studio and I've been making, you know, weird little pieces just with the idea that they will end up in some of my clay art. I even have a couple of pots that I've made that I've pushed these little numbers that I made in clay, and they've already been fired, and I just push them into the wet clay and they'll show up as part of my design in clay. But for now, the paintings, this is how I am marrying the 2 mediums together, the painting and the clay. I'm adding just little bits to my painting pieces. So, but before that happened, I took all these loose papers and I backed them onto an 1/8 inch, 12 inch by 12 inch sheet of plywood. And the cool thing is, and I'll link this down below too, the plywood sheets, this was 12 perfectly cut, perfectly sized, a 12 pack of 12 by 12 plywood sheets of wood. This was perfect to mount my jelly plate papers on. So, let me get that out of the way. Here is the only one I've actually added a finished point. I love this design. I went over it with a couple of different transparent glazes. I actually added a few more papers. You can kind of keep playing with them. And then I added a piece of clay that I really liked how it went with this, and it had a little rusty spot in it that tied that in. So this will be a finished piece. Now, what I'm going to do with all of these is I have a lot of frames to buy. So I always look for a deal, always look for something that's affordable. And these frames were on sale at Michael's. You got a 2-pack, and if you bought one 2-pack, I think was $29.99 for a 2-pack. You got the second 2-pack for free. So I always look for those sales and wait to buy my frames until they're on sale at Michael's. And this, so I'm going to link this below. It may not be the same price, but I think this is one of their regular frames, so eventually they will go on sale again. And if you know you do a lot of 12 by 12s, which I do, you can stock up on them then. So this is the frame, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can show with this frame. And again, this is a shadow box frame. So I take the back out, and then there's this cool little spacer in there, and I get rid of the glass. Another nice thing about this frame is they actually have glass. They don't have really thin, cheap plexi. I know some galleries only want plexi, but I just like the way the glass looks, and plexi always scratches. So now I'm putting that little spacer back in there, and I'll show you how that looks. Okay, slip right in there. Let's make it easy. There. So now there's a nice little inset, and I really like that. I like because I have a dimensional piece on here. I like how it sets back in there. I don't put the glass back in. You could, but I don't think it's necessary. So you could show it this way, or you can take it out, take the spacer out, put your artwork back in. Takes just a little manipulating to get these to slide right back in around those little tabs. And then you could put your spacer in and your backing on. And you have a piece that looks more like, oh, it goes this way. More looks like, you know, a regular framing job, which I like that too. So I got decisions to make on that, but I just wanted to show you the 2 ways that these frames work, what I do with these jelly plates, mount them onto the boards. Oh, and I wanted to show you one more thing. On this wall that I'm going to show you will not only be painting, there will also be some clay pieces that I've made that will mix in with everything that's going on that wall. But obviously, I don't want to make them 12 by 12. I want them to stand out on their own and not really blend in with the paintings. So what I'll be doing is I'll be taking these same boards. I'm just going to give you a quick little demonstration of what I'll be doing with them. I'm going to take the boards. I'm actually going to paint them a soft white. Now, this is a gray, but I'm just using it to show you, kind of give you an example of what I'll be doing. So the same frame, we'll have a board that's painted, and then I'll just set these little guys in there, and maybe even add a few little elements, a few extra little clay elements. Again, I'm waiting for some to come out of the kiln so I have more to work with. But so these pieces will be intermixed with the painting pieces, And because I've used the same clay and the same colors on both, the wall will look really strong as a color statement and as a combination of both clay and painting. So let's head over to the end of the video and take a look at how this wall is going to lay out, because I've already planned it out. It's good to have a plan. We have floor plans of the gallery. We have the whole gallery to ourselves, and we've divided up the walls so we each know what wall we'll be putting our art on and what collection will go on that wall. So going forward, we'll know exactly how many clay pieces we need, how many art pieces we need, how many more clays we need to make to go with that, or art pieces to go to make that collection work. And we have until May, so yeah, I'm really excited about it.